Welcome back to Anfield Signal. Arne Slot moves smacked of desperation as Liverpool fans make feelings clear after final decision. The Paul Gorst verdict from the Parc des Princes as Liverpool suffer a 2-0 Champions League quarter-final first leg defeat to holders Paris Saint-Germain. Budapest has never felt so far away for Liverpool, and while Arne Slot and his players will attempt to say all the right things after this quarter-final defeat by Paris Saint-Germain, dreams of a seventh European Cup will surely be placed on hold at Anfield now. The real question is for how long. Attention quickly turns to the arduous slog that is their Premier League campaign. The Reds host Fulham on Saturday evening, and while they presently occupy the fifth and final qualification spot, they may yet stumble into the promised land simply by being slightly less ordinary than rivals Chelsea. It seems oddly fitting. A 2-0 defeat here may leave enough room for Slot and his squad to talk up their ability to force the type of European comeback for which Liverpool are famous for at home next week. But this is not a group of players who deep down will genuinely believe it can be achieved. Chins are on the floor, shoulders are hunched, and confidence on the back of successive defeats to Manchester City and PSG, where 6 goals were shipped without reply, is now perhaps at an all-time low. The holders were too slick for their visitors as they showed why they are arguably the planet's preeminent team right now. For the second successive season, the Reds' Champions League campaign looks like it will come to an end at the hands of the Parisians, who were vastly superior on the night. Goals from Desire Doué and Kvicha Kvaratskhelia gave the champions of Europe the scoreline their performance deserved, as they dominated a Liverpool side that have now lost 16 times this campaign. The defeat will only intensify the pressure on head coach Slot, who has come under fire throughout a turbulent term, and the Premier League champions have now won just 2 of their last 8 in all competitions. It wasn't the best time for Slot to experiment with his lineup as he named a back 5 from a first-team squad for the first time in his tenure at one of the most imposing grounds in world football presently. It was an even more peculiar decision given the lack of real training time he has had with his team since Saturday's 4-0 humiliation by City in the FA Cup. In truth, it smacked of desperation from a coach scratching and clawing for answers. 0 shots on target says it all, and it took PSG just 11 minutes to unpick the lock with Dou's deflected effort looping over Georgi Mamadashvili after an opening that saw the hosts play with the ball almost exclusively. It was PSG's first shot on target, but that is not an indication of bad luck on the Reds' part. Slot, in fact, admitted his side were fortunate not to avoid a heavier defeat. Luis Enrique's men continued to enjoy the lion's share of possession and should have scored a second through Dembele, whose weak shot was held after a wonderful sweeping move from back to front cut their opponents wide open. Liverpool were unable to muster much of a response down the other end, with PSG goalkeeper Matvei Safonov a virtual spectator. The Reds' best chance ended with a raised offside flag when Jeremy Frimpong flashed one across goal from Florian Vertz's neat flick. Liverpool, in fact, failed to have a single shot in the first half of a game for the first time in 5 years when they were eliminated by Real Madrid, and they recorded just 82 passes, their fewest in the opening period of a Champions League game for 19 years. In the second half, Dembele was wasteful once more when he skied over when well placed inside the area after an errant header from Alexis McAllister gave PSG the chance to get in behind. But Kvaratskhelia, the brilliant Georgia winger, made it 2-0 when he peeled off the Reds' midfield before taking a pass from Joao Neves and rounding his international colleague Mamadashvili. It was a dagger blow for Liverpool that could now prove fatal to their hopes of silverware. PSG thought they had a penalty when Warren Zaire-Emery went down under a challenge from Ibrahima Konate, but after cautioning the centre-back, referee Jose Maria Sanchez consulted the pitch-side monitor and the spot kick was chalked off. It felt like a mercy call. Slot sent on a quartet of changes in Alexander Isak, Curtis Jones, Cody Gakpo and Andy Robertson, but there was little they could do to turn the tide as the League One leaders continued to burst forward in numbers almost at will. Dembele, who could have had a hat-trick, smashed against the post after another bewilderingly quick move. One player who was left in reserve, however, was Mohamed Salah, who was kept on the bench as Liverpool searched for a way back into the tie. It felt like another odd decision from Slot, and fans who stayed behind at the impressive Parc des Princes made their point known with a serenading of the legendary Egyptian as he felt the rare sensation of a post-match warm-down for the unused substitutes. The Reds once more finally find themselves with it all to do on a huge European night back on Merseyside. But the old Anfield magic might well have evaporated this year. Liverpool line up for PSG as Mohamed Salah dropped and Alexander Isak returns. Liverpool team news confirmed as Mohamed Salah joins Alexander Isak on the substitutes bench. Mohamed Salah and Alexander Isak are named on the Liverpool bench as Jeremy Frimpong starts at Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. Salah is dropped for the first leg of the quarter-final tie with the speedy Frimpong preferred by Arne Slot in the Parc des Princes. Isak appears on a Liverpool team sheet for the first time since December 20th when he suffered a broken leg when scoring in a 2-1 win at Tottenham Hotspur. The £125 million striker returned to full team training last week and is given a spot among the substitutes for this evening's clash. In midfield, Alexis Mac Allister returns in place of Curtis Jones, with Ryan Gravenberch and Dominic Szoboszlai also selected. Milos Kerkez and Joe Gomez start in the fullback positions, and Georgi Mamardashvili continues to deputise for Alisson Becker, who is expected to return at the end of the month. Florian Vertz keeps his place off the left of the front three, and Hugo Ekiti leads the line against his former club. Cody Gakpo and Federico Chiesa are also in reserve, alongside Salah and Isak. Liverpool: Mamardashvili, Gomez, Van Dijk, Konate, Kerkez, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Mac Allister, Frimpong, Ekitike, Vertz. Subs: Woodman, Misher, Isak, Salah, Chiesa, Jones, Gakpo, Robertson, Nyoni, Ngumoha. Dejected Jamie Carragher says Liverpool looked like team from lower division against PSG. Former Liverpool defender Jamie Carragher spoke on CBS about the difference between the Reds and the PSG after Wednesday's Champions League quarter-final meeting in Paris. Liverpool looked to be a class below during the side's Champions League clash with PSG on Tuesday, losing 2-0 in the Parc des Princes to goals from Desire Doué and Kovica Kvaratskhelia. Jamie Carragher watched from the CBS Sports studio alongside the panel of Kate Abdo, Micah Richards and Thierry Henry, just as Virgil van Dijk did to TNT Sports. Carragher mourned the gulf in quality between the two sides. That was like watching a team from a lower division, the ex-Liverpool defender admitted. The gulf in class was very worrying from a Liverpool point of view. In some ways, it's a great result, as it should have been 5 or 6. Carragher referenced Liverpool's away game against PSG last year, a smash-and-grab 1-0 win thanks to a late goal from Harvey Elliott and a goalkeeping masterclass from Alisson, before praising coach Arne Slot for coaching a competitive second game. Yes, Liverpool got battered at PSG and they won 1-0, we know that, he said. But the second leg at Anfield was a really close game, two top teams. Liverpool then go and spend $450 million, probably a lot more than PSG spent in the summer. To see the gulf there is worrying. You think, how's it got to that? How's it got that bad? Carragher then mentioned Slot's decision to play a back five, a major departure from his typical 4-2-3-1 formation. It didn't work. Liverpool only had 24% possession and allowed 18 shots. The manager has tried something, but he's got it massively wrong tactically, how he went about it, Carragher added. It's easy for me to say that after the event, but that's what we do. We're pundits. We speak after the events in the game. They were actually more open with the back five than they would be with the back four, because they went man-to-man all over the pitch, and the three centre-backs had to cover the width of the pitch. Watching Virgil van Dijk tonight in the middle of the back three was tough. Despite the battering, Slot and Liverpool have a chance in the second leg thanks to the Anfield crowd. The Reds have performed much better at home in the Champions League this season, as exemplified by their 4-0 home win over Galatasaray in March. For Liverpool to have a chance, Slot may need to revert back to his typical formation. Florian Vertz explains Liverpool struggles after £116 million transfer. I have to accept it. Florian Vertz has opened up on his difficult start to life at Liverpool, but the Germany international believes he is now a better player for the experience at Anfield. Florian Vertz believes he has put his early Liverpool difficulties behind him, insisting he is continuing to grow since making the move to the Premier League. The German sensation endured a challenging settling-in period following his high-profile transfer from Bayer Leverkusen. However, Vertz is now establishing himself as a vital cog in the Reds' machine and is riding a wave of confidence after a stellar international break with Die Mannschaft, which yielded 2 goals and 2 assists in a 4-3 victory over Switzerland. The 22-year-old completed his move to the Premier League champions for £116 million during the summer and had to bide his time before truly showcasing his abilities at Anfield. The Germany international was among the travelling party to the French capital, with Liverpool looking for a repeat of their first leg in Paris 12 months ago. Liverpool will be seeking revenge against Luis Enrique's side as they beat the Reds on course to their maiden Champions League crown last season after overcoming a first leg defeat when they won on penalties at Anfield. Vertz has openly acknowledged that his debut spell under Arne Slot was far from straightforward, but is confident he has turned a corner and can elevate his game. He told TNT Sports, "I know that they paid a lot for me. I still think that I'm improving. It was a difficult start for me because I wanted to impact the team immediately. I have to accept it. I'm feeling very good now on a physical level. I'm feeling good in England now because this was a big change for me. Now I'm trying to make the team better." Vertz will be eager to deliver a telling performance when Liverpool face Paris Saint-Germain in the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final. The odds are firmly against the 6-time champions, whose underwhelming season has been further tarnished by their embarrassing 4-0 FA Cup thrashing at the hands of Manchester City. Defeat at the Etihad Stadium brought an end to Liverpool's hopes of adding domestic silverware to their trophy cabinet. In a season where they have fallen short in defending their Premier League title, PSG are the reigning champions of Europe's Premier Club competition, and the backdrop to Liverpool's visit is clouded by their struggles in the top flight this season. Speaking at the pre-match press conference, Vertz revealed that fixtures like this are the ones he has always dreamed of being part of. He said, "These are the games you want to play as a player, and I dreamt of when I came to this club. We try everything to do a good game tomorrow and next week also at Anfield. So, yeah, these are the games you want to play as a player and for sure come through this round." New coach now expected to replace Arne Slot at Liverpool. Arne Slot is expected to be replaced at Liverpool, according to reports. The Dutchman is under heavy pressure. Sport Bild reports that a new head coach is expected at Liverpool next season. The Reds have Arne Slot in the role now, of course, but he's been under incredible pressure over the last few months. Enough so that it's thought that Liverpool will move on to something new for their next campaign. No decision has been made, but it seems it may just be a matter of time. This is a massively relevant decision, not just in terms of who's leading the team, but which players arrive. Liverpool are currently eyeing potential signings for the summer, though will need to pause things if they're to replace Slot. Now, this was written before Liverpool's 2-0 defeat to Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Champions League. It was a performance that only made a new head coach more likely, admittedly, but there is still a second leg to turn it around. Let's see if he's still in the role to do that. Arne Slot's situation summary, tactical struggles and performance. Arne Slot is facing the most challenging period of his Liverpool tenure as the 2025-2026 season enters its final weeks. Following a 4-0 FA Cup quarter-final loss to Manchester City, Slot's tactical reliability was again questioned during a 2-0 Champions League quarter-final first-leg defeat to Paris Saint-Germain on April 8, 2026. In a desperate attempt to find defensive stability, Slot experimented with a back three and benched Mohamed Salah, a move that largely failed to contain the French champions. Domestically, the reigning Premier League champions have fallen to 5th place after 10 league defeats, leaving them in a tense battle for European qualification. Job security and future speculation. The pressure on Slot has reached a fever pitch, with Xabi Alonso currently the 13th favourite to replace him this summer. While Slot maintains that his position is secure and cites the patience shown to Jurgen Klopp as a precedent, internal pressure from Fenway Sports Group is mounting. A significant boost arrived on April 7th when the Premier League secured a 5th Champions League spot, potentially easing the requirement for a top 4 finish. However, failure to overturn the deficit against PSG or a slip below 5th place, currently only 1 point ahead of Chelsea, could make his position untenable. The next fortnight, including the PSG return leg and the Merseyside derby, is widely viewed as a decisive period for his Anfield future.